Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about the new tinted lip balms that have been released by Lisa Eldridge. And these are called Baume Embrace, and they are available in 5 shades. And so the ones that I have are called Red Curve and also Metropolis. So I will be demonstrating these for you today, and I also will be telling you what I do and what I don't like about them. And then in addition, I have tried all of the products that Lisa Eldridge is currently selling on her website. And so I will be talking about each of these formulas and letting you know what I have liked and what I have not liked as much. And then I will also be demonstrating all of these products for you in several different quick makeup looks of the kind that I use every day. And then finally, I have maybe 15 or so Lisa Eldridge lipsticks and other lip products. And so I will be demonstrating each of those for you toward the end of the video. So first, a little bit of information about me. I'm 59 years old, and I do have dry and sensitive skin. And I have never had any kind of cosmetic procedures like injections or surgery. And so therefore, when I try on different products, I'm particularly interested in whether or not they make the wrinkles and other textural issues on my face look worse. And in addition, there are certain ingredients that always do irritate my skin, and I know that those are ingredients that are particularly problematic for many other people, so I just don't talk about products that contain those ingredients on this channel. So let's talk first about these new tinted lip balms. So these are designed to be moisturizing and hydrating for the lips and to feel really good and to provide some really good skincare benefits. And I do think that they accomplish that. And they are available in 5 different shades. So the first one is called Red Curve, and this is supposed to be inspired by some of the paintings by an artist named Ellsworth Kelly. And this one is a red color that might lean a tiny little bit orange, but it is pretty bright red. But it's also quite sheer. So if you are the kind of person like me that would like to be able to wear a red lipstick, but that tends to find most red lipsticks that are on the market to be too bright, and then I think that this can be a really good product for that. And I do think it looks quite nice on me. So my observation was that in the video that Lisa Eldridge did, she put on really thick coatings of this, so it looks like it's very bright, but if I just put on one layer, then I think it's super wearable for me, regardless of how casual I'm being. And then if I want to, I can build it up a little bit, or I can put it on over a lip pencil or a lipstick. And then the second one that I have is called Metropolis, and this is supposed to be a deep blackberry, and Lisa Eldridge is saying that this is supposed to point you back to the silent film era. So I guess in the 1920s that a darker red lip was kind of popular back then. And so I think this is supposed to be recalling that shade. But again, it's something that is very fairly sheer if you put on a light layer of it. And so I think it is really wearable for everyone. So again, in that video, it looked like it was really dark, but when I put it on myself, I think it's really quite attractive. And then there are 3 more shades that are available, and these seem like they are not quite as dark, and therefore that they might be even easier to wear. So the first one is called Épanoui, and this is a French word that apparently doesn't have an English translation, but that it means something like blossom, like the period of your life where you're blossoming into your best self or your more mature self. And so I think that that was a very nice word. I agree with Lisa Eldridge on that. And that one is supposed to be like a mauve type of a color. And then there is one that is called Meet Cute, and that one is supposed to be kind of a pinky peach color and fairly light. And Lisa Eldridge said that that is supposed to bring to mind the rom-com movies, maybe from the 1990s, that were so popular. And so I think that one does look pretty, and I think that that one is probably very easy to wear. And then the third one is called Sweet Fig, and this one seems to be especially popular. People seem to be really liking this one. And this one is supposed to be a pinky brown type of a color. So my general observations about these lipsticks, they are of course much more moisturizing than Lisa Eldridge's other lipsticks. Now all of the lipsticks that she makes seem to be quite good for my lips, both the luxuriously lucent ones and the true velvet ones. They both seem to be very good for my lips, but these are much more moisturizing and something that seems to be much more like a true lip balm. And they are made in Italy, and it says usage life 18 months on the container. It also says on the website just the words "keep me cool," so I'm not quite sure what that means, and I didn't notice Lisa Eldridge saying anything about keeping them cool. I have been using them in weather that is between 70 and 80 degrees here, and they seem to be fine for me in terms of not being too melty and going on really nicely. Whether or not they need to be kept cool in order to keep them from going bad, I'm not sure about that, and I don't know that I'm going to be storing my lipsticks in my refrigerator, but I think that maybe if you have room in your refrigerator, maybe that could be a good idea in between uses if you're not going to be using them for a while, because it does specifically state that on the website. Now, I thought really strongly about ordering all 5 of these lipsticks because I thought that they would probably be really pretty colors and that I would really enjoy the formula, and because I've thought that Lisa Eldridge's other lipsticks have been really terrific and I thought it would be fun to swatch them. But the reason that I didn't do that is because I noticed on the website that it said that it contained flavor, and they didn't specifically say what the flavor was. And so I actually asked about that when Lisa Eldridge posted her video, and someone from the company, I don't know if it was her or someone else, responded that the flavoring was just vanilla and that it was very mild and that you might not even be able to notice it. So after having tried them out, I do agree that the flavoring in this is like a vanillin type flavor. Now, I don't think it's actual vanilla. I think that there is a really big difference between vanilla extract and a vanillin, which is a component of vanilla extract, but that can be obtained from many different sources. So vanilla extract is obtained from specific kinds of orchids, and apparently only 1% of the vanillin type flavor that is used actually comes from these orchids. And vanillin is a particular chemical structural ingredient that can come from vanilla extract, but that in most cases they are getting it from other sources. So either from petroleum, or it could come from certain kinds of wood, or it could come from corn or rice, or it could come from cloves. But in any case, I think that this is something that I would really prefer not to have in my lipstick if possible, and although I'm willing to use a lipstick like that on occasion, it's not one that I'm going to be reaching for very frequently. Now, what they said in response to my question was that this was such a mild vanilla flavor that I probably wouldn't notice it. I don't think that that is actually true. So, and again, with these Kosas lipsticks, I really like the formula for both the wet sticks and their regular lipsticks, but I do find that that vanilla flavor keeps me from using them. So this tastes pretty much like the Kosas ones to me. I think it tastes a little bit less than the amount of vanilla that is in the MAC lipsticks. I think it might be slightly more than is in the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks. And I think that it's much, much more than are in the Mauve lipsticks. Those list vanillin on the ingredient list, and if I really look for it, I can sense it, but I don't feel like that one is objectionable to me at all. But of course, I do agree with those people who say that vanilla extract is very expensive to produce and that it's kind of difficult to produce as much as people would want, considering ecological type of issues, and therefore that finding ways to create artificial vanillin could be a priority because people do tend to like that flavor. And personally, I would rather never have anything tasting like vanillin in my life rather than to use the vanillin artificial kind. But apparently not everyone agrees with me on that, and some people think that a vanillin flavor is perfectly fine. So one question that comes to my mind is why Lisa Eldridge decided to put this vanillin flavor in this product at all, because none of her other lipsticks have any vanillin or any other kind of flavor in them, and that is one of the things that I have liked the most about them. And one suspicion that I have with regard to why a lot of these companies put vanillin in their cosmetics is because it is a food type of ingredient, and so people don't feel like it's perfume per se, but that especially when it comes to lipsticks often have ingredients that will go rancid, and therefore if you have some kind of a flavoring ingredient in the lipsticks, then if the lipsticks do start to go rancid, people may not notice it as much because they may be focused on the flavor that is on top of them. I don't consider that to be a good reason to put a flavoring ingredient in lipstick. I consider that to be a bad reason. And my feeling is that if a lipstick is going to be rancid, that I want to know about it because I don't want to be putting something on my lips and then ingesting it if it's going to be rancid. I don't think that that's good for me. And because I really don't, I think that the taste of those things combined, the unpleasant taste of the vanillin combined with the unpleasant taste of the rancid oils, that makes things twice as bad as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know if that was the rationale here, but I do think that this contains quite a few oils that do have the potential to go rancid. So in the case of Lisa Eldridge's products, I do think that she is maintaining more control over the distribution. She's selling almost all of the products through her website. They're just available in a few stores, but I think one's just in the UK. And so I think it may be the case that even though these have a lot of oils in them, that they may be storing them better, and therefore they may not be going as rancid as fast as they otherwise would. But I still suspect that that's the reason for the vanilla in them, and that's another reason why I kind of don't want that to be in there at all. But all of this is very disappointing to me because apart from that vanillin flavor, I think that this is a fantastic formula. I think it looks really great on me. I think it feels really great on my lips. I think that they're very wearable shades, so even though I feel like I'm capable of wearing some of the brighter colors in both the True Velvet and the Luxuriously Lucent lines, I think that for me, with a really low contrast complexion, that these darker shades are really easy to wear and that they give me a much more casual look, but also one that's kind of polished and kind of put together, which I think is what Lisa Eldridge is really good at, that her shades are all really dialed in. So I really do like this formula, and I think that if you don't mind vanillin as a flavor, or some people actually like them, then this could be a really, really terrific product and well worth the price. But unfortunately for me, I kind of doubt I'm going to be using these too much, except to maybe demonstrate them occasionally in the future. So one thing that I wanted to show you was what these lipsticks look like when I put them over either a lip pencil or a matte lipstick. So I started out by using a shade from MAC, which is called Night Moth, and this one is kind of a deep purple type color, and so then I put the Metropolis over the top of this. And I think that what I will say is that when I put other types of lip balms over the top of this pencil, that the look tends not to be quite as lush as it is with this particular lipstick, that this is a thicker and kind of a balmier and a kind of a cushier formula. And so I think that when I put this particular balm over the top of a dark color like this, that I do get a feeling that my lips are looking quite shiny and bigger than usual, actually, and a lot more drawing attention to themselves, I guess. And I also think that compared to many the other lip balms that I have in my collection, these are pretty much on the shiny side, and that particularly if you put on a few layers of this, that it does tend to be quite shiny. So let's go ahead and put on one more layer of this just to see how much of a brighter color we can get. And so now I think we're getting to the point where my lips are really looking like they have a substantial amount of color and shine and plumpness to them. And then now let's try doing that same thing with the red curve, and for that I have the Victoria Beckham lip pencil, which I actually kind of like, and I have this in the color red. So I will put this on and then I will put that red curve over the top of it. And so again, I think that the finished look here, it's pretty bright, but I think it's fairly wearable, maybe more so than most lipstick that is red that I have in my collection. And it's certainly really, really shiny, more so than most of the red lipsticks that I have. And I think, again, because of that balm texture, that it does give my lips some more volume and makes them look fuller and plumper and maybe even a little bit riper. And then finally, what I thought that I would do is to take one of my matte lipsticks that tends to be a little bit on the dry side and to put that on my lips and then to put the red curve over the top of it. So this shade is called Too Hot to Hold, and it is a little bit like a maple red, they're calling it. So a little bit brown and a little bit orange, but definitely a red. And I do really like this NARS Power Matte formula, but it's a little deceptive because when it first goes on, it tends to feel like it's kind of creamy, but then within about 30 seconds, it turns into something that's much more dry and that I probably wouldn't want to wear for the whole day. And so if I put a little bit of a lip balm or a lip gloss over the top of it, then it does become much more wearable, but some products are a lot better for that than others in terms of allowing this to be a longer wearing product. And so here is the red curve on the top of this, and I think this is very interesting because it manages to give a lot of heft and a lot of shine to my lips, but without it being so saturated that it looks like my face is unbalanced. And particularly since I have some eye makeup on, including some darker mascara, I think that it doesn't look too bad on me, and it actually looks fairly okay. But I do think that it's giving my lips a lot more oomph than they usually have in terms of both the shine and in terms of how large they look. Now, one thing that I will say is that if I put this lip balm over the top of this Power Matte product, that the Power Matte does stay in place for much less time than it would ordinarily. So I think that one of the real benefits of these Power Matte lipsticks is that I can put it on and it's kind of bulletproof, that I can eat or go for long periods of time and still have some lipstick on my lips. And I think that that is much less likely to be happening if I put this balm over the top of it. I think that the balm has so much oil in it that it does disrupt that long lastingness of the lipstick, and therefore it tends to break down a lot faster. So now I'm going to insert some footage of me putting on several different makeup looks using almost all Lisa Eldridge products. And so I will talk about each of these products as I get to them in the footage. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint. And this one was released in a couple of months ago, so in early spring, I guess. And it comes in 18 different shades, and it is supposed to be light coverage. And it does have some silicone in it. The silicone is in the first 5 ingredients, but it is not as heavy silicone as some other makeup products that are out there. I have not found it to be as difficult to remove as some silicone foundations, like for instance, the Fenty one. I do feel that I need to use some kind of an oil-based makeup remover in order to remove this, but I do feel like I've been able to remove it with a variety of different makeup removers, including the Lisa Eldridge one, but also some others. And Lisa Eldridge says that this is developed by a tiny French company, like a little husband and wife company, and that she really enjoyed working with them on the project. And this is in a plastic bottle, and it is designed, I guess, for travel type purposes. So this is shaped like a pebble, and it's supposed to be inspired by some of the sculptures by an artist named Barbara Hepworth, who is from England. And it only will lie down on its side. It doesn't stand up on the counter. And this does include some moisturizing ingredients, not really high up on the ingredient list, but it does include some prickly pear extract, which I think has been very nice for my skin in general when I've used it in other products, and some squalane. But on the other hand, it does include some ingredients that might be problematic for some people, including phenoxyethanol and benzoic acid, and also salicylic acid. And there are 18 shades, and I picked out shade T3, which is supposed to be a neutral light shade. And I think that this has worked fine for my face, but it also is the case that this is offering very, very little coverage, so I would think that there are plenty of shades considering how much coverage they are giving, because I think that probably I could wear a variety of shades and it would look fine on me considering the low coverage level that these are giving. So in terms of my main criteria for even considering wearing a foundation, I think that this one has been okay on those, meaning that it has not been obviously irritating to my skin, and it also does not make my wrinkles look considerably worse. So I would say that in this case, I don't feel like it's really helping my skin, and that if I wear it every day for an extended period of time, I think my skin is not in as good a shape. I think that in general, my putting silicone on my face is not the greatest thing, and that when I do that, it tends to trap things like dirt and oil and bacteria and fungi and dead skin cells underneath it, and that can cause some irritation if I wear it too often. But in this case, I think it might be a little bit more so than that, and I think that some of those other ingredients might be issues for me. So those are not necessarily ingredients that I consider to be problematic in terms of being deal killers, but I do think that if I have them on a foundation and I put them all over my face and I leave it on there for an extended period of time, that's not something that my skin is that crazy about. And I would say that with regard to this foundation, I'm not sure that it's really giving me much of any benefits. So I don't feel like it's really annoying my face, and I don't feel like it's making my face look worse, but I also don't feel like it's giving me really any coverage at all, and I don't feel like it is improving the texture of my skin, and I don't think that it's good enough for my skin that I would wear it just for that reason, or that I would wear it to protect myself from something else. Now, what she suggests with this is that you start with 2 or 3 drops and that you spread that all over your whole face, and that will offer a very mild amount of coverage. And I think that maybe if you put that much of it on, that it does offer just a really, really minimal amount of coverage that might slightly lessen whatever kind of, for instance, redness you might have on the face. And she also suggests that if there are areas on your face that you think deserve more coverage and that could be a little bit more problematic, that you could use additional drops of this and to smooth out on those areas. So I think that if I were going to use this, it would mostly be in conjunction with a cream concealer. So I would use the cream concealer such as a foundation stick or a concealer stick to take care of the redness that might be under my nose and to take care of the dark circles under my eyes. And then maybe I would use this as sort of an overall coverage, but I kind of feel like it's not really giving me that much benefit, and that usually if I feel that I really need to have some kind of a coverage all over my whole face to reduce redness, that there are other products that I feel are either working as well as this one, but that have no silicone in them and that are not causing as much irritation, or that might be good for my skin, or that are offering me a little bit more coverage but are not irritating my skin as much, or certainly not anymore. And even though I have tried this new skin tint from Lisa Eldridge a whole bunch of times, I'm just not sure that it's doing anything for me that would make me really want to use it. And though I might use it on occasion if that was all that I had, I think that I have an awfully lot of other options that I think are working better for me, that make me less interested in this particular product. Although I don't think it's a bad product, and I think that some people do seem to have really liked it. And then moving on in terms of the rest of this makeup look, I am using under my eyes my Bobbi Brown Corrector stick in the shade Light Bisque, and this is something that I put on very frequently because I do think it does a good job of camouflaging the darkness under my eyes, and it goes on really fast and it blends in really easily. And then I am using the Jones Road Brow Pencil, and again, this is a product that I can put on really fast. I can put it on just a couple seconds per eyebrow, and I don't think that I need to use both the brow gel and an eyebrow pencil, which is what I usually do if I'm not using this particular product. It does have little fibers in the product, and therefore it makes, I think, my very sparse eyebrows look like they're more like real eyebrows rather than just something that's drawn on. And then recently I've been experimenting with the Saie Slip Tint Concealer. So there are only a few liquid concealers that I really like, and I'm using them mostly because I'm trying to use them as a primer on top of my eyes for eyeshadow. And I think that this works better for me than most of the eyeshadow primers that are out there, both in terms of not irritating my eyes and also in covering up the darkness that tends to be on top of my eyes. And this particular one seems to have worked well for me for that, and I think it also works well for me if I use it very judiciously on my face as a concealer. So I try not to put it in the areas where I have a lot of wrinkles, because I think that in general cream concealers work better for that. But if I use a very small amount of it, I think it works okay for that. And now I'm going to talk about the Lisa Eldridge eyeshadow palettes, and I am a big fan of these palettes. It actually was the case that these were the first eyeshadow palettes that were in powder form that I really, really liked. And there are 5 of them. They were introduced at the end of 2022. And so I have 4 of them at this point, and I have really, really liked them. And so I will show you all 4 of them that I have, just in terms of taking a look at them. And then I will put a few of them on my eyes. So the first one is the one that I'm putting on in this first look, and this is called Cinnabar. And this is warmer colors that I think go well with my peach type complexion. There's a few darker shades, and there are several shimmery shades. And then there is one that is called Myth, which is more like purples. And that one in the middle there at the bottom, that one is a reddish purple type shade that is actually quite bright. So I haven't really used that one very much, but I do think that all of these other colors are a lot more usable than I thought that they were going to be. I don't feel like cool colors in general, or especially purples, necessarily work that well for me. But in this case, I think that these shades are fairly muted, and that I have been able to make them work, and that the dark purple one, that one serves kind of nicely as an eyeliner. So I did create a look today that you can take a look at that does have that one in it. And then this third palette is called Sorcery, and this one has some greens in it and a blue one, and there's a lot of shimmer in this palette. So it is considered to be a little bit on the flamboyant side, and I have found that these colors actually do work fairly well for me, especially if I use kind of a light hand with them. One of these shades, the one that is down here, this one does have aluminum powder in it. So I do want to remove that one from the palette and put in one of the other shades, because I do find that aluminum powder irritates my eyes. But other than that, I think that this has actually been a more usable palette for me. If I especially only use 1 or 2 of the shades at once, I wouldn't use all of the shades in here all at once. That would be a little too much. And then this fourth one is called Muse, and this one is more like golds and pinks. And I think that that's not necessarily the colors that look best on me, but I do want to do a video sometime soon where I show you this palette, maybe in a contrast to a few of the other pink palettes that I have, so we can see which ones work the best. And then there's one more palette that is called Vega, and that one has more grays and blacks and shimmery shades that do have aluminum powder in it. And unfortunately, my eyes do tend to be annoyed by aluminum powder, and I don't do all that well with grays. But there are 1 or 2 shades in that I would kind of like to have. And the good thing about these palettes is that the individual shades are sold individually on the Lisa Eldridge website. And so I have picked up a couple of the shades from that palette to insert into these palettes. And then there's one more that I'm hoping will come back into stock that I would also like to get. So some good things about these palettes. I think that they all are super, super pretty. I think that for me and my desire for an understated eye look, and with my low contrast complexion, I feel like all of them have worked really, really well for me, that I've been able to make really pretty eye looks without worrying too much about it going too deep. I also feel like they don't go on too dark, and that they do blend really easily. and that they look really pretty regardless of how little attention I am paying or how much I'm worrying about exactly how I put the shadows on. I've had all of these palettes for about 18 months or so since they were released during fall of 2022, and I feel like they've all held up really well. So in some cases I have purchased eyeshadow palettes that have started to feel really dry after just a few months. I'm thinking especially, for instance, of the Jane Iredale product, and in this case I don't feel like that has happened at all. I feel like that these have held up really, really well for me, and they have continued to perform really well even though they are more than 18 months old. And they do not have any talc in them. They don't have any aluminum powder except in those 3 shades, 1 in the Sorcery palette and 2 in that Vega palette. And they don't have any other ingredients that I find to be concerning either. And I don't think that any of them have irritated my eyes, especially not if I put them on over a concealer. But in general, I haven't found them to be irritating at all. And although it's possible to take these palettes and to pop the shades out and to reorganize them and make your own palettes, I think that the way that she has them organized makes a lot of sense to me, and that I am able to get a really pretty and sort of a dialed in look just by using the ones that she recommends. So that's kind of how I'm inclined to do that, except to take out a few of the shades that I think are either too dark for me or that have the aluminum powder in them. And I think that reliably, if I take out one of these palettes, I can count on the fact that this is going to be a really pretty look that is not going to be too difficult for me to do, and that I can just throw on in just a couple of minutes. And again, although I would say that all of these 4 palettes that I have created some really, really pretty looks, and that I do feel comfortable using them, I do think that this particular palette, the Cinnabar one that I'm using here, that this one is the easiest one for me to use, and I do think it's the most complimentary for my particular complexion. And then Lisa Eldridge does not currently make any blush. In the past, she did have a blush, but there was a packaging failure, and that was a few years ago, and she hasn't come up with a new blush since then, but there's rumors that she might be getting one soon, so I will look forward to that one if she does. But in the meantime, I used for this particular look a lipstick that is called Kitten Mischief, which is kind of a pinky peach and kind of muted. And I think that that is a really pretty lipstick, and I also think that it works nice as a muted type of a blush, especially when I'm wearing an eyeshadow look that's a little bit stronger. And so that is what I used in this look, and then I put that on my lips as well. Now, as a little bit of an addendum to this look, I decided to put on a few of the Lisa Eldridge eye pencils. So I have 2 of those. One is in the color Night Forest, and then the other one is in the color Renaissance Gold. And these were released last year, and I did do a video where I talked about those. Now, unfortunately, I did find that those were somewhat irritating to my eyes when I left them on there for an extended period of time. I feel that these are very, very similar to the Victoria Beckham eye pencils. I also have one of those. I noticed that the formula is almost identical and that they both do come from Italy, so I think it's the same factory. And I think that both of these are unusually soft eye pencils. They tend to more create kind of a little bit of a smudgy eye. So if that's what you're looking for and you're willing to try something that was irritating to my eyes, then that could be something to try. A lot of people do really like these products. I think that compared to the Victoria Beckham pencil, that the Lisa Eldridge ones are even more smudgy. They are actually soft enough that I think that they would work well as an eyeshadow. So all I have done is to just put a tiny little bit of a little pencil line on there, and then I can kind of smudge it out to make it into an entire eyeshadow look. And I do think that these are really pretty colors. So I wish that I could wear them, but unfortunately they just haven't worked for me in terms of the irritation factor. So now let's move on to the next look. And at the beginning of this, I am doing a comparison again between the Jane Iredale Hydropure foundation and the Lisa Eldridge Skin Tint. And I do think that in terms of how they look, I feel like they look fairly similar, that they they are going on with really no coverage at all, and I don't think that either one of them looks bad for me. But again, I think that the Jane Iredale one is one that I'm going to continue to use because it doesn't have the silicones in it. I haven't found it to be irritating at all, not even a little bit. And I do think that it works nicely underneath other makeup as a primer. And then I'm quickly putting on 3 other products that I use on a regular basis. That Bobbi Brown Corrector Stick, the Jones Road Brow Pencil, and the Saie Slip Tint Concealer. And then next I wanted to talk about another new product from Lisa Eldridge that was just released a couple months ago. And this one is called the Kitten Flick Liquid Eyeliner. So this is a black eyeliner and it comes in a felt tip pen, and the pen has a very sharp point on it. So in theory you can draw a very thin line that is quite black. And I was a little bit nervous about this product to begin with because it does list black number 2 in the ingredient list. And that is an ingredient that is a derivative from the coal industry. And so it is considered in a lot of cases to be problematic in terms of a health perspective or a clean beauty perspective. And so that is not a product that either Clean at Sephora or Credo allows, and EWG does rate that as a 10 out of 10 on their problematic scale. But I did decide to try this anyway just because I do like Lisa Eldridge products. Some people do say that in certain cases the black number 2 can be refined to the point that it's clean enough that it's not going to cause any problems. And I was kind of surprised because I do feel that this has not irritated my eyes at all. And it actually is the case that I've really had more problems with just regular eyeliners than I have with pretty much any other type of cosmetic. That a wide variety of the eyeliners that are on the market do irritate my eyes. So the fact that I could use this one without any irritation, that was actually a really pleasant surprise. Now, I will say that I don't have a lot of experience with liquid eyeliners. I've only used a couple of them in the past. It's only been very recently that they seem to have come back into style. So these seem to be especially popular among younger women, so like high school or maybe college. And I think that they create a really kind of a pretty look. And I think that the look that Lisa Eldridge is suggesting with the kitten flick, with just the tiny little bit of a cat eye on the edge of it, I think that that is really cute. Now, unfortunately, what I've found is when I have tried to do that myself, is that it doesn't seem to be working for me because I do have these little wrinkles on the sides of my eyes, and it doesn't really seem like the wrinkles are in the right place for me to be able to draw like a cat eye on there. And so I kind of felt like I had to skip that part, which is a little bit unfortunate because it does look really cute on other people. And I think that this pen would do a really nice job drawing that. So if you don't have the issue that I have with regard to the wrinkles, then I do think that this could be a really good product to try to do that with. I did try putting this right along my lash line, just as close as I could. And I'm just getting a very thin line that way. I feel like that line is just a little bit patchy and that it's kind of hard to go over it multiple times and to fill that all in. But I also did find that when I used the mascara from Lisa Eldridge, that really filled it all in and it no longer looked like it was patchy. And it did look like I had some dark liquid eyeliner on my eyes. So I was kind of happy about the way that it ended up looking, especially since liquid eyeliner is a little bit challenging to put on. So I do think it's given a nice look. It is a very black look. So I think it's a little bit more dramatic than what I usually wear, but I don't think that it's so dramatic that it really carried things away and made it unwearable for me. I think it actually is something that I wouldn't mind wearing. And then here I'm putting on a little bit of the Lisa Eldridge Red Curve Baume Embrace, and then I'm putting on a little bit of this Kitten Lash Mascara. So along with that eyeliner, Lisa Eldridge came out with a black mascara that she is calling Kitten Lash. And this goes on fairly nicely. It reminds me a little bit of a tubing mascara. It's not saying that it's a tubing mascara, but I do think that it goes on fairly evenly and without clumping, and it comes off pretty easily, and I think it wears pretty well. So I think that it does have some tubing mascara elements to it, even if we're not calling it a tubing mascara. I did find this one to be slightly irritating, and so that makes me not interested in wearing it anymore. I've worn it a few times though. I do think that it's somewhat similar to this little Calorie mascara that I mentioned before, and I do think that I like the Calorie one much more in terms of it being a little bit less messy. I think the Lisa Eldridge one isn't too bad, but I think the Calorie one is better on that. And I do think that the Calorie one has never irritated my eyes at all, and so that's important. So I think in a lot of cases these days when people are using that liquid eyeliner, they are just using the liquid eyeliner and they are not putting any eyeshadow on with that at all. I thought that for this look what I would do is to just use a little bit of the liquid eyeshadow that I have from Lisa Eldridge. So I really just have one color of this one. This is called Daphne, and it is kind of a greenish gold type of a shade, and I think it's very, very pretty, and I actually do kind of like the way that it looks with this liquid eyeliner, and I wouldn't mind having some more of this product. I think that really compared to the other liquid eyeshadows that I have, that this one actually performs really well. It goes on really nicely. It stays on pretty nicely. I think it's very pretty, and I especially like this color. And I think that with this liquid eyeliner, it actually looks nice together without drawing too much attention to my eyes or making it look like they're way too made up. And then once again, I'm going to use the Lisa Eldridge Kitten Mischief as a blush, just because that is a fairly neutral blush that I feel like will go with anything. And then I have one more product for this look, and this is called the Crystal Nebula shade in the Elevated Glow liquid highlighter. And this is a highlighter that is supposed to have skin benefits. So it has a product in it that is called Filmexil, which is supposed to be firming and to protect from pollution. And I think that this is actually, compared to many of the other liquid highlighters that I have, I think this one is actually quite pretty in terms of how it looks on my skin. And I don't think that it has been bad for my skin at all, whether or not it's actually providing that much benefit in terms of protection from pollution or firming my skin. I don't really know that much about that. Now, one thing that was a little bit interesting to me is the idea of using this highlighter as a bronzer. So there are a number of different shades, and some of them do look a little bit bronzy, but in terms of what they are suggesting on the website, she is really suggesting that those shades that are more bronzy are really designed for skin tones that are a lot darker than mine. So I don't know how that would work as a bronzer. The shade that I have is called Crystal Nebula, and that one is more just like a champagne color. They do have one that is a rose gold color that I also would be interested in trying. So maybe eventually I will pick up one of these, but so far I have only really felt it necessary to buy this one shade so far. So before I move on to the next look, I thought I'd do a little detour and talk about a few more Lisa Eldridge products that I think are interesting. So the first one is called the Lisa Eldridge Skin Enhancing Treatment Cleanser. So this is a makeup remover. It is a oil-based remover, and it does include some expensive ingredients that would make the product apparently more expensive than the market could bear, except that Lisa Eldridge owns the patent for this product and has sourced all those ingredients herself, she says. And I find that this product is so much better than anything that I have found in terms of removing makeup, and particularly makeup that nothing else seems to be able to remove very well. So I'm thinking especially about those Fenty foundations that are really waterproof and that none of my other makeup removers really can get off. If I use this one and I leave it on for quite a long period of time, I do feel like I can remove all of those foundations from my skin. And in the case of most other makeup, her instruction is that you should put this on your face, that you should wait 2 minutes and then just wipe it all off. And I have found that to be the case with really almost all of the other makeup that I have used. And it also is the case that these are natural ingredients and that they are really good for my skin. Certainly, I feel like they are good enough for my skin that if I put this on as a mask, that my face is the better for it and that my skin really does like this product. So in general, I think that this is a really, really nice product. It is kind of pricey. Now, the reason that it might still be affordable is because you only need to use a very small amount of it. So she is suggesting that you only need to use a blueberry sized amount of it. And when I did a calculation, it seemed like if that is the case that and you're using it once a day to remove your makeup at the end of the day, that this might last for 6 months or so. And I have found that although I'm not using this every time I remove my makeup, I have a lot of other products that I am trying to use up. I do think that this lasted quite a long time. So I've had it for more than a year, and there's still a substantial amount in this container. And I do feel like I want to continue to at least have some of this around, but I think more and more I'm going to be moving more towards using this as my main makeup remover after I use up the other stuff that I have. Now, another product that she released at the same time as that makeup remover is called the Skin and Makeup Enhancing Mist. So she is suggesting that this could be used either as skincare or as a makeup setting spray. I tried using it directly on my skin. I don't think that was very good for my skin. I don't think that my skin was real happy with that. But in terms of putting it on top of makeup, that may be a different story. And I think that compared to really all of the makeup setting sprays that I have tried prior to last year, that this one actually seemed like it had a lot more potential. I feel like before last year, all of the setting sprays that I used, they either had a lot of perfume in them or a lot of other types of ingredients in them, all of which were irritating, or that a few were on the market that didn't seem to be really doing anything at all as far as I could tell. Now, last year there were several different makeup setting sprays that were released. There was this one, there was one that was from Caloray, there was one from Euphoria, and then NARS just released a setting spray of their own that I've heard good things about. And so I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should do a video comparing setting sprays, and now that it's summer, to actually try some of them on some of my makeup that might not hold up that well in the summer, and see if it holds up better if I put this stuff on top of them. And I think that all 4 of those do have potential, so I might do a video like that sometime soon. So if you're interested in setting sprays, then let me know about that, because that might make it more of a priority for me. And then one more product that I want to bring up that is from Lisa Eldridge is this eye and face palette that is from Lancome. And this is a special edition palette that was associated with the Louvre, and that has these 5 different shades in it. 4 of them are supposed to be eyeshadow shades, and then 1 of them is supposed to be a highlighter type of a shade. And there is supposed to be this face that is from a statue that is stamped into the shadows. And I think that these are super pretty shadows. And this was actually designed by Lisa Eldridge. And this actually has an ingredient list that actually looks quite good to me. So in general, the products from Lancome are not usable by me because they have either fragrance in them, or because they have chemical sunscreens in them, or because they have aluminum powder. But this palette doesn't have any of those things in it. And I thought that it was perfectly fine for me to use. I didn't have any irritation with it. And I think that it is super pretty. It's really more of a collector's item than a palette that you're probably going to be using all the time. The only darker shade in this one is that green shade, which is very similar to the green shade that I put on my eyes today from the Lisa Eldridge Sorcery palette. But I do think it's very pretty, and it is a nice collector's item, and I did see it on the Macy's website on a pretty good sale for like $60 or something. So this is a little bit more affordable. I think it's kind of being phased out. I'm not sure it's on the Lancome website at all now, but I have enjoyed this product, and so that is one more product that I think Lisa Eldridge has made that's worthy of some note. And this is a highlighter shade, and so I will just put a little bit of that on my skin just so that you can see what it looks like. And I do think it's a very pretty highlighter. It's supposed to be reminiscent of the natural light that is in the Richelieu wing of the Louvre, and I think it's kind of pretty on my skin. And then now let's move on to the next makeup look, and for this one I'm going to be focusing mostly on the regular Lisa Eldridge foundation. So this is just called the Seamless Skin Foundation, and this is supposed to be offering medium coverage, and it is a silicone-based foundation, and it is available in 43 different shades, and it was released a couple years ago. Now, as is the case with the skin tint, this is a bottle that is not going to stand up on your counter. It will only lie down on its side. And Lisa Eldridge said that this bottle was inspired by the work of a sculptor named Constantin Brancusi, who was a Romanian who worked in Paris in the first half of the 20th century. And this is a glass bottle. Now, in general, this does have some silicone in it, but I don't feel like it has so much silicone in it that it is particularly problematic for my face. I don't feel like it has a lot of long wear component that make it difficult for me to get it off. I do think it comes off fairly easily with regular oil-based makeup removers in addition to the Lisa Eldridge makeup remover. And I think that in terms of performance, I think it performs fairly similarly to the House Labs foundation. And I think of those as kind of similar in my mind and fairly interchangeable. They come in a similar number of shades, and they're at about a similar price range. And the ingredients for both of these are pretty good. Now, this one does have a few botanicals in it that I think that conceivably could be problematic for some people. But I don't feel like this has been irritating for me at all. I feel like my skin has done fine with this, and probably about as well as it did with the skin tint from Lisa Eldridge. So I feel like this has worked really well for me. I don't feel like it's been irritating. I feel like it looks fairly natural on my skin. I don't feel like it exacerbates the look of my wrinkles. I think that it works well for me regardless of whether it is straight out of the bottle or if I mix it with a little bit of that moisturizer from the outset. I think it works really well either way. And so what I have on today is it mixed a little bit with that moisturizer. So one good thing about this particular foundation is that even though you probably won't be able to go and try this out in the store as you can the House Labs one, that she does offer foundation samples that you can order, or if you're buying something else from Lisa Eldridge, then you can get them for free, like one per order. So for instance, this is what the samples look like, and this is the 4 lightest shades. So this has shade 1, 2, 2.5, and 3 in it. And in a lot of cases, it does look like those are available on the website, but they do sell out fairly easily. I guess because she's giving them away for free. Maybe that's not such a good idea to give them away for free because they're always running out. Maybe she should charge $1 or something for them. But in any case, I purchased this particular shade that I have, shade number 7, because I wasn't sure what shade would be best for me because she was all out of the samples when I wanted to try it. And I think that the 7 shade has been okay for me. This is supposed to be a neutral color and it's supposed to be light. But I have managed to acquire a bunch of the other samples, and so I swatched all of these on my arm for the camera so that you could take a look at them. Right now they do seem to be out of all of the lighter shades. So I swatched all of the lighter shades going from the lightest until all the ones in the light medium. So that might give you a good sense of which ones might be most appropriate for you. And I do think that one good thing about this line is that there are a lot of olive shades, including some that are really light olive shades. And so if you have an olive skin tone, then this could be a particularly fruitful line to take a look at. And there are a few shades that are labeled peach as well. And my skin does seem to have an undertone that most of the time, if something is labeled peach, that tends to be good for me. And in this particular line, I was a little bit nervous about it it based on the pictures, but I do think that when I tried on the peach shades in the real world, and the peach shades were number 4 and number 8 that I tried on, I thought that both of those did work pretty well for me. So I did shoot some footage of me putting these foundations on my face. So in the first one, I compared shades 5 and shade 7, and I think that both of those are probably actually too light for me. I thought that it was worthwhile trying, but I do think that they're a little bit more light than I would probably prefer, though they do work for me. And I think that sometimes it's a better idea to start with a light shade, and then you can maybe go in and just add some bronzer to it and to darken things up a lot more easily than you can lighten things up if your skin is too dark. And then I also have some footage here of 10 and 12. 10 is a neutral that is a light medium, and 12 is a slightly rosy version of that. I think that both of those would probably work okay for me, but I think that the rosy one gives me just a very, very slight look of like maybe I'm just a tiny bit sunburned, which I don't think is unattractive, but probably that wouldn't be the right shade for me to buy either. And then in the next one, I am showing you 10 versus 8, and 8 is the light peach. And I feel like when I put it on my skin, that the peach one looks like it's a little bit too dark, but then when I blend it in, it actually looks nice. I think what actually happens to my face is that if my face is not tan at all, and I do try to keep my face from being tan, that it tends to be fairly neutral, but that when my skin does get even a little bit tanned, like to the extent that my neck is tanned or the backs of my arms are tanned, that it does go peachy on me. So I think that the shade 7 has worked okay for me, and I've had that for maybe 18 months or so. But I kind of feel like when I buy another bottle of this, and probably I will eventually, I might instead go for the shade 8, which I think is working a little better for me. And again, I think that for this one, that really what I mostly have been doing is mixing that with the moisturizer. And I think that when I do that, having it be just a little bit peachier on my skin, a little bit darker, can be really attractive. And so next in this look, I decided to use this eyeshadow palette that is more on the purple side, and that is called Myth. And so this is a palette that I really haven't used all that much. I just got it fairly recently, and I haven't really used most of these colors that much. I especially haven't used this one in the middle. That one's a little bit scary to me. But when I use the other ones in this particular look, I think that it actually worked out a lot better than I thought that it was going to. I feel like this dark purple shade is a very nice eyeliner, and that the other 4 shades in the palette do work nicely to create a kind of a pretty, mildly purpley type of a look that I think goes particularly nicely with this new Metropolis lipstick. And so I think that particularly if I'm wearing the right outfit, this actually is a very, very nice palette that I would like to use more often now. Now I also have a couple of eye brushes from Lisa Eldridge, and they don't have any numbers on them, so I can't remember what they are, but this one is designed to put shadow down, so it does seem to pick up the shadows very nicely. And then this is a pencil brush that I have used to create kind of a thick smudgy line, like along the lash line for my eyes. And I think that both of these are really good quality. I think they're both made in Japan. They're synthetic hair, but I think that they do pick up these shadows, including the sparkly ones. I think they pick them up very nicely. I especially like this one. I'm not feeling like this pencil brush has been as useful for me, but I would be interested in some more of these brushes. I do think that they are very nice quality, and I've enjoyed using them, especially with the Lisa Eldridge palettes. And then for my lips, I started out by using one of the new Lisa Eldridge Sculpt and Shade lip pencils, and I have that one in the shade 1C. So many different companies recently have come out with a line of kind of neutral lip liners, and they are designed to give your lips kind of a natural look, and then you can maybe put lipstick over the top of them or maybe not. And in the case of these Lisa Eldridge ones, I think that probably her colors are very nice. I think that this one that I have, which is the the lighter shade, which is supposed to be a cool shade. I think it is a very pretty shade. Now, unfortunately, this does contain cottonseed oil in it, and my experience has been that really everything that has cottonseed oil in it has been irritating for me. Cottonseed is obviously a plant that is very, very highly contaminated with agricultural chemicals, including Roundup and a lot of other things. And I especially have found that cottonseed oil, when I use it in eyeliners, tends to be irritating consistently. But I think that it also is the case that for lip liners, that those have also been problematic as well. And it's not the case that every lip liner on the market has cottonseed oil in them, but several of them do, and I've had issues with all of them. And this one's been a little annoying as well. So that is too bad, because otherwise this does seem like a nice lip liner that I would like to use. But in the video footage, I did put this one on, and then I put the Metropolis color over it. And I do think that in general that Metropolis lip balm does work really nicely over a lip liner. And so in terms of blush, again, Lisa Eldridge is not currently making any blush for this particular look. And the one that I decided to use is an insanely saturated lipstick, and that is called New Wave. And New Wave is a kind of a purplish shade that was supposed to be reminiscent of the 1980s. And so this seemed like a good time to pull it out and to try to use that as a blush. And I think that in conjunction with the eyeshadow palette that I used and with this Metropolis lipstick, I actually really like the way that that looks as a blush on me. I think that it's a definite purplish type color, but it's not so much of a purple in the wrong shades that I really can't wear it at all. I think it actually pulls this look together fairly nicely. And then I also added the Elevated Glow highlighter, again in the Crystal Nebula shade, and the Kitten Lash mascara. And so now finally let's talk about all of the lipstick formulas that Lisa Eldridge offers, and then I will show you some footage of me trying on all of the lipstick shades that I have. So the ones that I like the most are the Luxuriously Lucent lipsticks. Those are a little bit balmy feeling, and they're a little bit moisturizing, but they're not too shiny, and they seem to hold up really well. I haven't had any of them break on me. They feel really good on my lips. There's no flavor or anything like that in them, and I do really, really like the colors for these. So I have worn these a lot, and I feel like I'm comfortable enough with them that I can take them out with me in my purse. I haven't had them break on me, and I really do like the way that they look a lot. And I feel like the colors are sort of moderately saturated, so I don't feel like they're too much for me. Now, the second line that she makes is called True Velvets. So those are more matte lipsticks, but they're soft matte, so they are not too drying on the lips. I think that these are really gorgeous colors. They are certainly more saturated than the Luxuriously Lucent ones. I feel like they're really pretty, and that the colors are nice enough that I don't mind wearing them, even though they're more saturated. But I think that the issue that I have with these is that I'm a little bit worried about them, because I've had a few of them arrive and break immediately upon use. And what they have told me is that they are so saturated in terms of the amount of color that is in them that they do break fairly easily, especially when they're under some stress from the transit. And that makes me kind of afraid to take them out of the house. And if I'm only going to wear them in the house, then I can wear them on camera. But other than that, I feel like I'm not really getting much use out of them. And they're also more saturated than I would like. So I've kind of stopped buying those, but they are super pretty. And I think that for certain occasions, I still have continued to wear them because I do like the way they look a lot. And the Insanely Saturated ones, I think, are very similar to the True Velvets, but they do have more pigment in them, and the colors are a little bit more on the experimental side. So I think that the two that I have been really attractive on me, but they do have a bit more of a punch to them. And there are two different kinds of lip pencils. So there are the kinds that I just showed you, which are more neutral shades. And then she also makes a line of lip pencils that are designed to go with each one of the True Velvet lipsticks. And I think that these are actually a little bit like lipsticks themselves. They tend to be softer than most lip pencils that I have purchased. They don't sharpen all that well, and I think that they do provide a slightly more snatched type of a look to go with those True Velvet lipsticks. I think that they also can be nice underneath her lip glosses. I think that they're also pretty with that. But in general, I have a couple of those. I think that they're nice formulas, but compared to some of the lip liners that I have liked the most, I don't feel like I am real inclined to wear these except with just the Lisa Eldridge ones. And then she also has a line of lip glosses, so there's a number of different colors in these lip glosses. They're supposed to have some moisturizing ingredients in them and to be good for the lips. They're mostly the same colors as the True Velvet lipsticks, but of course they're in gloss form. And I do think that these are especially pretty. I don't think that they're as moisturizing as some of the other lip oil type products that I have used, and I reach for them occasionally, but I tend not to be a big fan of lip glosses unless they really are providing a lot of moisturizing benefits to my lips. And then finally, she has a line of Velveteen liquid lipsticks, and I, like many people, am not usually a big fan of liquid lipsticks, but I think that as liquid lipsticks go, she has done a bang-up job with these. They go on fairly nicely and fairly easily, and I do think that they look really pretty. They stay in place really well. They don't feel really dry on my lips. They don't feel like they're really messy, and they don't taste really terrible. So I think that if there is an occasion when I want to have a lip color on my lips that will last for a long period of time, I think that these are really nice from a variety of different perspectives, and I think that the colors that she chose for these are really, really gorgeous. So I have just a couple of them so far. So they're not ones that I have worn all that much, but I do really like them, and I do see there being good occasions for wearing them, particularly if you want your lips to look really, really nice for a long period of time. And so now I will insert some footage of me trying on all of the Lisa Eldridge lip products that I have in my collection.
Want you to be with me. I see you and smile from my head to my feet. I gotta show you, you're something that I need. So be with me. Wake up, come round, I got something for you. I want you to be in everything that I do. Hey baby, I wanna be with you. Maybe the world will come around to pick me up when I am down. I guess the sun might sort me out, lift me up and spin me round. But I'd rather get closer to you, make you part of everything that I do, and watch you shine. Oh baby, I want for you to be with me. I see you and smile from my head to my feet. Wanna show you, you're something that I need. So be with me. Get up, come around, I got something for you. I wanna be in everything that you do. Hey baby, I wanna be with you. Maybe the stars will all align to pick you up and make you mine. Cuddle me up and hold me tight, hold me closer all the time. Maybe one day I won't hide away, come out and say all that I wanna say and make you mine. Ooh baby, I want you to be with me. I see you and smile from my head to my feet. Wanna show you, you're something that I need. So be with me. Get up, come around, I got something for you. I wanna be in everything that you do. Hey baby, I wanna be with you. So be with with me. Be with me.
It's the thought of you that keeps me awake when I got no love to give or take. My heart swells when I see you again. Butterflies flap the wings inside. I let it wash over, let the feeling rise. And I know, oh, that this is the time to spend. Life is all about you. I really like it when you pay me attention. Did I forget to mention I'm for you? I really need you and I just wanna feel you and I just wanna show you that I'm all for you. I could be so happy just to wait all night. And as long as I know that you hold me tight, I can close my eyes and dream of your embrace. And my heart beats faster as you get close. My stomach tries to leap right out of my throat. And with you I got the power to make it right. Is all about you. For you. I really like it when you pay me attention. Did I forget to mention I'm for you? I really need you and I just wanna feel you and I just wanna show you that I'm for you. And now I got you, yeah, you know that I want to, yeah, you know that I'm going to. I'm for you. Around me, 'cause I'm all for you. It's the dreams of you that make my heart jump. For it's your love that I can never give up. I can't wait to see you again.
So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if you noticed that you thought that any of those lipstick products looked particularly nice on me, then I would like to know which shades those were. In addition, if you've tried any Lisa Eldridge products, then I would definitely like to know your experiences with those. Or if there are any products that you would like to try, then let me know what those are. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel yet, then I hope that you will go ahead and do that. And Coco and I love you very much, so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.
Dum dum.